Hello, everyone, and welcome to Spill the Pea. We are now in the third week of the Omer, which is the week of Tiferet, and this is the week of balance, truth, and alignment. We also have two Parshiot this week, so we're going to be breaking them down in two separate episodes. Last week, we had Shmini, and we learned that receiving light is not the end, it's the beginning of responsibility. Now, in Tazria, we're going to be shown what happens after that light is received, how it's processed, integrated, and ultimately expressed through us. Because what you receive doesn't matter nearly as much as what you become through it. Please like, share, comment, follow, all the things. So we open with Hashem speaking to Moshe and saying, "Speak to Bnei Yisrael, saying, when a woman conceives and gives birth to a male, she shall be contaminated for a period of 7 days. As during the days of her separation, infirmity shall she be contaminated. On the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. For 33 days she shall remain in the blood of purity. She may not touch anything sacred, and she may not enter the sanctuary until the completion of her days of purity. If she gives I did it again. Just cut and stop. If she gives birth to a female, she shall be contaminated for 2 weeks, as during her separation. And for 66 days she shall remain in blood of purity. Upon the completion of the days of her purity, for a son or for a daughter, she shall bring a sheep within its first year for an elevation offering, a young dove or a turtle dove for a sin offering to the entrance of the tent of meeting to the Cohen. He shall offer it before Hashem and atone for her, and she becomes purified from the source of her blood. Thus is the law of one who gives birth to a male or a female. But if she cannot afford a sheep, then she shall take 2 turtle doves or 2 young doves, one for an elevation offering and one for a sin offering, and the Cohen shall provide an atonement for her, and she shall become purified. Hashem then spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, if a person will have on the skin of his flesh a seis, or a sapachat, or bacheret, and it will become a tzara'at, affliction on the skin of his flesh, he shall become purified through Aaron the Cohen, or he should go to one of Aaron's sons, the Kohanim. The Cohen shall look at the affliction on the skin of his flesh. If hair is in the affliction If the hair in the affliction has changed to white, and the affliction's appearance is deeper than the skin of the flesh, it is a sara'at affliction. The Cohen shall look at it and declare him contaminated. If it is a white baharet on the skin of his flesh, and its appearance is not deeper than the skin, and the hair has not changed to white, then the Cohen shall quarantine the affliction for a 7-day period. Then the Cohen shall look at it on the 7th day, and behold, the affliction retained its color, and the affliction did not spread on the skin. Then the Cohen shall quarantine it for a second 7-day period. The Cohen shall look at it again on the 7th day, and behold, if the affliction has dimmed and the affliction has not spread in the skin, then the Cohen shall declare him pure. It is a mispachat. He shall immerse his garments and become pure. But if the mispachat should spread on the skin after it had been shown to the Cohen for its purification, it should be shown to the Cohen again. The Cohen shall look, and behold, if the mispachat has spread on the skin, the Cohen shall declare him contaminated. It is sara'at. If a tzara'at, affliction, will be in a person, he shall be brought to the Cohen. The Cohen shall look, and behold, it is a white seis in the skin, and it has changed hair to white, or there is a healthy live flesh within the sayis. It is an old tzara'at in the skin of his flesh, and the Kohen shall declare him contaminated. He shall not quarantine, for it is contaminated. If the tzara'at will erupt on the skin, and the tzara'at will cover the entire skin of the affliction from his head to his feet, wherever the eyes of the Kohen can see, the Kohen shall look, and behold, the affliction has covered his entire flesh. Then he shall declare the affliction to be pure. Having turned completely white, it is pure. On the day healthy flesh appears in it, it shall be contaminated. The Kohen shall look at the healthy flesh and declare him contaminated. The healthy flesh is contaminated, it is tzara'at. But if the healthy flesh changes again and turns white, he shall come to the Kohen. The Kohen shall look at it, and behold, the affliction has changed to white, and the Kohen shall declare the affliction pure. If flesh will have had inflammation on its skin, and it will have healed, and on the place of the inflammation there will be a white sayis of a white beheret streaked with red, it shall be shown to the Kohen. The Kohen shall look, and behold, its appearance is lower than the skin, and its hair has turned white. The Kohen shall declare him contaminated. It is a tzara'at, affliction that has erupted on the inflammation. But if the Kohen looks, and behold, there is no white hair in it, and it is not lower than the skin, and it's dim, the Kohen shall quarantine it for a 7-day period. If it spreads on the skin, the Kohen shall declare him contaminated. It is an affliction. But if the beheret remains in its place without spreading, it is the scarring of the inflammation. The Kohen shall declare him pure. If a person will have a burn from fire on his skin, and the healed skin of the burn is a white beheret that is streaked with red, or is all white, the Kohen shall look, and behold, hair has turned white in the beheret, and its appearance is deeper than the skin. It is tzara'at that erupted on the burn, and the Kohen shall declare him contaminated. It's tzara'at, affliction. And if the Kohen looks, and behold, there is no white hair in the beheret, and it is not lower than the skin, and it's dim, the Kohen shall quarantine him for a 7-day period. The Kohen shall look at it on the 7th day. If it has spread on the skin, the Kohen shall declare him contaminated. It is a tzara'at, affliction. But if the beheret remains in its place, not spreading on the skin, and it is dim, it is a sayis of the burn. The Kohen shall declare him pure, for it is the scarring of the inflammation. A man or woman in whom there will be an affliction on the scalp or in the beard, the Kohen shall look at the affliction, and behold, its appearance is deeper than the skin, and within it is weak golden hair. The Kohen shall declare him contaminated. It is a nesek, a tzara'at of the head or the beard. But if the Kohen looks at the nesek affliction, and behold, its appearance is not deeper than the skin, but there is no dark hair within it, the Kohen shall quarantine the nesek affliction for 7 days. The Kohen shall look at the affliction on the 7th day, and behold, the nesek had not spread, and no golden hair was in it, and the appearance of the nesek is not deeper than the skin. Then he shall shave himself, but he shall not shave the nesek, and the Kohen shall quarantine the nesek for a period of 7 days. The Kohen shall look at the nesek on the 7th day, and behold, the nesek had not spread on the skin, and its appearance is not deeper than the skin. The Kohen shall declare him pure, and he shall immerse his clothing, and he is pure. But if the nesek shall spread on the skin after he has been declared pure, the Kohen shall look at it, and behold, the nesek has spread on the skin. The Kohen need not examine it for golden hair, it is contaminated. But if the nesek has retained its appearance, and the dark hair has sprouted in it, the nesek has healed, it is pure. The Kohen shall declare it pure. If a man or woman has spots in the skin of their flesh, white spots, the Cohen shall look, and behold, on the skin of their flesh are dim white spots. It is a bohak that has erupted on the skin. It is pure. If the hair on a man's head falls out, he is bald at the back of the head, he is pure. And if his hair falls out toward the front of his head, he is frontally bald, he is pure. And if in the posterior or frontal baldness there shall be a white affliction streaked with red, it is an eruption of tzara'at on his posterior or frontal baldness. The Cohen shall look, and behold, there is a sayus affliction that is white or streaked with red in his posterior or frontal baldness, like the appearance of tzara'at on the skin of the flesh. He is a person with tzara'at, he is contaminated. The Cohen shall declare him contaminated. The affliction is upon his head. The person with tzara'at, in whom there is the affliction, his garments shall be rent, the hair of his head shall be unshorn, and he shall cloak himself up to his lips. He is to call out, contaminated. All the days that the affliction is upon him, he shall remain contaminated. He shall dwell in isolation. His dwelling shall be outside of the camp. If there shall be a tzara'at affliction in a garment, in a woolen or linen garment, or in the warp or the woof of the linen or wool, or in the leather, or in anything fashioned of leather, and the affliction shall be deep green or red in the garment or any of its utensils, a tzara'at affliction, and it shall be shown to the Cohen. The Cohen shall look at the affliction, and he shall quarantine the affliction for a 7-day period. He shall look at the affliction on the 7th day. If the affliction has spread on the garment, warp, wool, or leather, for whatever purpose the leather has been fashioned, the affliction is malignant sara'at. It is contaminated. He shall take the garment, warp, woof, wool, linen, or any leather utensil in which the affliction may be, for it is a malignant sara'at. It shall be burned in fire. But if the Cohen shall look, and behold, the affliction had not spread in the garment, the Cohen shall command, and they shall wash the area of the affliction, and he shall quarantine it for a second 7-day period. The Cohen shall look after the affliction has been washed, and behold, the affliction has not changed color or spread. It is contaminated. You shall burn it in fire. It is a penetrating affliction in his worn garment or in his new garment. But if the Cohen shall look, and behold, the affliction grew dimmer after it was washed, he shall rip it from the garment. If it appears again in the garment, it is an eruption. You shall burn it in fire which contains the affliction. You shall burn in fire that which contains the affliction. But if the garment has been washed, and then the affliction left them, it shall be immersed again, and it shall become pure. This is the law of the tzara'at affliction, a garment of wool or linen, or the warp of the wool, or any leather utensil to declare it pure, or to declare it contaminated. So this is where Tazria ends. So just to remind us, Shmini first started with offerings, the actions, the behaviors that we offer, so to speak, for the will of the Creator. At the end of Shmini, we are given the laws of kashrut, which help us discern, process, and integrate our environment. Tazria comes from the root meaning to seed or to sow. It means to conceive. And that's exactly what this parsha is about. It's not just about physical birth, but what is being formed inside of you based on what you've allowed in. Because everything that you take in, people, environments, conversation, everything that you see, you hear, it plants something. So what is it that you are allowing to take root? So now we get the circumcision. So I want to take a moment and talk about this because I hear so many people say flippantly, well, we're Jewish and we have some crazy rules and a lot of them don't make sense, but we do it anyways because we're Jewish. And to those of you who have said this, or even worse, believe this, I would ask, how is it that you can believe in a creator that was so precise that he made each blade of grass a specific shape and size? And he ensured that bees know exactly where to fly, how to create honey. He made a body with organs and a heart, but he allegedly gave us these arbitrary rules that he wants us to follow just because he said so. He simply gave the beings that he put here to fulfill the purpose of carrying his light a whole bunch of frivolous rules. Does that sound aligned to you? Back to chopping off foreskin. Remember, males represent action taken. So, at its simplest, circumcision represents removing excess. The physical body operates on impulse, desire, and survival. The act of removing excess symbolizes a shift from being driven purely by the physical towards something that's more intentional. It's not about denial, it's about refinement. I am a soul that is meant to be on this earth to develop discipline and strength so that I will connect more with my soul, be aligned with the Creator to bring more light in. I hope that makes sense. So the masculine are the actions that are birthed from however you have processed, discerned, and integrated things you receive in your environment. Again, kashrut isn't just food, it's people, it's words, music, it's what you watch, what you hear. So the masculine is any behavior that you now take on based on whatever you allowed to seed in you. Now, the female being born represents emotions that have now become a part of you based on the same thing. The purity period is also double as long for female emotions as it is for male actions. Why? Because many times we aren't thinking and we just do things for the sake of doing them. Sometimes they're stupid things and sometimes not. And sometimes it's simply that you just wanted to try something, but that's where it stops. It's simply something you chose in a moment to do. When something is an emotion, it has now embedded itself in you. Most of the time, our emotions are subconscious, which is a far deeper level than choosing to jump off a bridge because your best friend jumped off a bridge. Actions can be impulsive. They can happen quickly and pass just as quickly. Emotions, once internalized, go deeper. They shape your behavior over time, which is why the process tied to the internal is longer, because what is internal requires more time to realign. Then it goes to say that within the first year of rectifying your behavior or action that you bring your offerings. Why? Because most people say they're changing. Then after a while, when they lose motivation, when they get lazy, the new healthy behavior stops. So if you've gone long enough that you have actually changed yourself, integrated the new behavior, then you have the awareness to elevate yourself. Bring the offerings to the altar because you have actually done the work to change. It's like your friend that is constantly dismissive or patronizing of you. You bring it to their attention, they say sorry, they change for a time, and then the patronizing behavior comes back. And then again, they say sorry, they change it, and then it comes back. They haven't actually adjusted anything within themselves. But when you willingly change your behavior through the discomfort, through laziness, through urges and desires, you now can consciously offer something new. And when you actively show changed behavior, it atones for the poor behavior. I want to point out that most of the afflictions spoken about after this are referred to as his or as male. Why? Because when you integrate a poor emotion, that poor emotion will always subconsciously guide your poor behavior, actions, masculine. I would also like to say we have become so disillusioned and detached from our bodies that we have either forgotten or been convinced that our bodies, our physical states, do not reflect our internal states. This is reminding us that our bodies do, in fact, reflect what's going on internally. And again, it can be passed from lifetime to lifetime. This reason exactly is why we landed on all of these explanations. Also, throughout the Parsha, when we hear about the Cohen helping, the focus is always on the affliction and not the person. Why? Because what shows up externally is not the entirety of who someone is. It is a condition, a state, a behavior. It is not an identity. That's not discernment, that's judgment. And judgment removes clarity. It's letting us know that whatever is showing up on our skin, reflecting in our reactive behavior, is not who we are. It is an active choice in behavior. Otherwise, it is an active choice in behavior. Otherwise, refer to the person. We're always so quick to jumping to referring to people as good or bad. And again, that's not discernment, that's judgment, and it removes clarity. It is not our place in this world to judge. You are welcome to judge all you want, but we all know that you point one finger and you have three pointing back at you. In other words, how you judge others is how you will be judged. So, back to the point, we often label people so quickly. Oh, well, she's a good person, or he's a good person, or she's a bad person, or he's a bad person. And it's not to say that there are some people who may not fall in either category. However, most of the time, our behavior is a result of our environment, and our behaviors are chosen even when they're bad behaviors. A child aged 4 knows that they're lying or being mean or being bad, just as a man or a woman aged 63 knows that they're lying or being mean or being bad. It just so happens that at the age of 63, your habits are more deeply rooted. Your poor behavior birthed poor emotions, which turned into your subconscious understanding of how to be in this world, therefore causing you to react with poor behavior again, lying, being mean, being bad. When children are born, generally speaking, they're happy, full of light, honest, kind, giving, good, accepting. The environment a child develops in determines how they understand their emotions and respond to them, or how they don't understand their emotions and react to them. Just because someone's behavior is poor does not automatically qualify them as bad. It also doesn't automatically qualify them as good. The point is that you don't hold the balance ledger for their soul. The Creator does. When you can withhold yourself from judging someone as good or bad, you free yourself from, first of all, emotionally reacting to whatever they are dumping on you, but you also free yourself to be able to separate the being from the behavior. It doesn't mean that you have to choose to deal with them or to interact with them anymore, but it does allow you to see the person in front of you as someone who emotionally got stuck in the dark. And as we know, there cannot be darkness if there is no light. Now, throughout the Parsha, we hear about quarantining a lot. So, quarantining for 7 days, the period of becoming shalom, whole, can be the modern day equivalent of a timeout, right? You're starving someone of the opportunity to be affected by a poor environment. So let's say your daughter started going to a new school and she's been getting a little too spicy with you. Starve her of the environment that caused her to absorb, process, and integrate that behavior, especially if you have not yet taught her discernment. Your son is hanging out with these new boys down the street and around the corner, and you notice that he's being more aggressive. Starve him of the environment that caused him to absorb, process, and integrate this behavior, especially if you did not teach him discernment yet. With adults, it can be a little bit more complicated because how do you starve an adult who has their own will? You don't, but you sure can starve yourself of them. Now you get to choose who and what behavior you allow in your environment that may affect your behavior in an unhealthy way. Just because you have fun with them doesn't mean that you need to be around them. Process behavior, discern whether or not it is having a healthy effect on you, integrate the decision, have a strong cutoff game. Throughout the whole Parsha, there is also a chance to become pure. Why is this important? Because outside of chemical imbalances, most people can choose to change behavior. It may not be easy, and most of the time it's not easy. However, if you always keep in mind that someone can become pure again, it allows you to separate the person from the behavior because we've all been in a place where we wished we had a second chance. Now, I'm not saying to give people an infinite amount of chances. That's why you need to have strong cutoff game. However, if someone does the work of the female purity, changes the emotions that trigger poor behavior, and then displays new, changed, healthy behavior over time, allow them the grace of atonement. The Creator gives us the opportunity for atonement every single moment of our lives. So, who are you to be on your high horse and not give someone else a chance if they've shown you, not told you, that they have become pure? This is such a beautiful parsha, especially as we go through the Omer, because the Omer specifically is the time when we have received new light and we now have the opportunity to grow into a more pure vessel that can hold the light and bring it to the world. Or we can continue to live a life with sara'at. This also leads into beauty coming from the inside. Sara'at, Baheret, Sapachat, and Mispachat are all some sort of skin lesion. They make you ugly. And nobody likes ugly. People will see you based on how you choose to behave. These afflictions show up externally. And whether we like it or not, people respond to what is expressed outwardly. Behavior shapes perception. And you can meet someone who may not be conventionally attractive, but their presence, their energy, their character makes them undeniably compelling. And the opposite is also true. And we are currently in the year of connection, 5786. So consider how your ugly behavior is affecting your connections, not only to other people, but to yourself, and more importantly, to the Creator. And as we know, God don't like ugly. So do yourself a favor and also yourself in your next life a favor, and don't rack up a whole bunch of ugly points in your balance ledger with the Creator. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure, and we'll see you on the next one.